This is the leopard land of Bira, the predominant stronghold of the Indian big cat in Rajasthan. The 850 million-year-old outcrops of the greater Jawai landscape form a timeless backdrop to this surreal wilderness, a place populated by both humans and wildlife.
My father being the pioneer in the area for leopard safaris, I got a chance to explore this area very well. Since childhood, I have, been with my father going on safaris because he's a wildlife enthusiast and he enjoys watching the leopards in this area. Earlier, I never realized the value of this, until I moved to the cities where I went to boarding school. And being in Mumbai, it's totally different. I did my hotel management. I trained in the top hotels in the country, like the Oberoi and Taj. After that, when I came back here, I realized the beauty of this place. So he says there are two leopards that live on the left side, and there's one which comes from here, comes to drink water here, and then they go. His name is Ajit Bharti. He's been here since 20 years. So he sleeps here in the summers, and then the leopard crosses from here at night to drink water. They just sit on the rocks because this is their territory. And he's also been here since a long time, and they've grown up here, all these cubs. So actually they've adapted to this environment. They have a trust, they are scared of humans and the humans are scared of them. They never attack, they never do anything, they never harm. So he's saying he sits on that pavement, and the leopard sits under him, like 30 meters away. We are the direct descendants of Rana Shekha, who was the fourth son of Maharana Pratap, who was a great ruler in Udaipur and a great legend in Indian history. This is a 300-year-old castle, a part of which we have inherited. Castle Beda is actually, it's not a hotel, it's an experience. 20 years ago, my father opened this as a homestay, and we take guests from all around the world and we are entertaining them. It's a royal experience where you get to hear the history of the land of leopards.
Earlier this place was used by all the Maharajas, and a lot of royalties used to come to Beda.
It's not just about leopards, it's history, culture. So we try to give it to the guests, give them an experience that they won't forget.
We are searching for further traces of the elusive big cat, which is very difficult to spot during daytime. The hillocks, conglomerations of boulders, giant and small, contain crevices and crannies, allowing leopards to shy away during daylight.
M.K. Ranjit Singh was one of the legend in Indian wildlife. He is my uncle.
There was no green movement in this country like you have in Europe or elsewhere. We have certain communities who are very avid protectors of wildlife. There was more wildlife in those princely states where the prince and his family were interested in hunting. So you had a ambience, as it were, which was very conducive to conservation. And despite huge pressure on land, poverty, and burgeoning population, which you know, we had a very good atmosphere, milieu for conserving nature. The infrastructure and everything was ready. The political will was not there. But Indira Gandhi was more interested. I remember she called a meeting. It was September 1971, and she called wildlifers of the country and asked what can be done. The meeting was clear. I spoke up and said, you can do something about it. We need a Wildlife Act. We don't have any legislation. So she looked up from her desk, I remember, and said, the tribal members of parliament are very annoyed with your act, my act. So I said, Madam, the bill is coming up for introduction in the house of the upper house this evening. She said, yes, I know that. I said, Madam, I hope it will be passed during this session of parliament. She looks me straight in the eyes and says, of course it will be passed in this session of parliament. Here it was. I had the Prime Minister saying it shall be passed in this session of Parliament. That was the bottom line. It was her support that got the Wildlife Act through.
The soil of the floodplain of the nearby Jawai Bond Lake is highly fertile due to nutrients. This is one of the primary reasons for predominantly organic farming. We reach a spot with an expansive view of the Jawai Bond, the lake created by the damming of the seasonal Jawai River. 300 or so crocodiles are said to inhabit these waters. A mere 20 square kilometers of the Jawai Bond area have been declared a leopard conservation zone in 2003. Most of the leopards, however, are found outside the designated zone. Still, there is a complete absence of human-animal conflict due to a spiritual belief that leopards are protectors of the many temples and shrines which dot the age-old hills.
Of all the places that I know of and have been to for watching leopard, I don't think there is now any better place or any surer place anywhere that I know of to see leopard than Beda. Certainly not in India, but to the very best of my knowledge, even in Africa. You have a wonderful view of the animal when he is feeling secure, which you don't in a forest. Here he is the master predator, where he has no competition, he has no fear from a larger animal. And they have not been harassed for a long time, they have not been hunted for a long time.
The leopards are known to pick up livestock on their nightly prowls through the dusty villages. Locals justify this loss as an offering to their gods and do not offer resistance. In turn, the Bira leopards display a lack of interest in domestic scenes. This peaceful coexistence with people is a remarkable phenomenon for the 21st century. Jawai is a wilderness unlike any other.
Tourism is a double-edged sword, so it can harm, it can destroy, it can overexploit, it can deviate animals, it can do a lot of wrong things, but it can also help. You see, this cannot become a national park, it cannot become a sanctuary because you cannot acquire all these rights. And if you acquire all these rights, you will have these people thrown out and they'll become the enemies of the leopard. Yes. You have to have their goodwill and you have to have their acquiescence, tolerance. Okay. And if you have mining here, that's the end of the story. Yeah. So that is why I say you must have a protected area so that even tourism is regulated. Yeah. And that is why you should have a community reserve or a conservation reserve. Both categories are within the Wildlife Protection Act. Both would do okay here.
बहुत छोटी थी उस टाइम, 1 साल की। यहाँ से उठा के मुझे लेके गया, यहाँ से वापस लेकर गया, वो सामने माता जी का मंदिर है।
Her name is Santosh. When she was 1 year old, she used to live in this house and she was taken by a leopard from this house. She was sleeping that night outside. When she was taken away by the leopard came and dropped her outside the temple, and then she started crying. She's saying the leopard got scared of her. So the grandmother woke up and she came, she realized there was something wrong, so she came and she saw this baby outside. She was found right here behind this temple, and the leopard was also sitting next to her. And this is the temple which they, the goddess which they worship. She's got the marks where the leopard took. She's saying that today she is very fortunate that she is alive. It was a blessing of God. I wanted to work on, doing something else than leopards. And this was one major thing which was left out and unnoticed, which was the jackets and the fulgurs. The whole idea about it is all my guests who come, so they want to take a souvenir. That's how I started my boutique. And the whole idea is to give them something that they can remember. So these jackets are, like a souvenir. When you go out of Beda, you take all the experience, all the memories, plus something, there's an option to take the culture also. My concept is to name these jackets on the leopards in the area. So every jacket that I design is named after some leopard. So this is the jacket which I call Cuttier, because he is one of the biggest male, and this was how I related it. I like this jacket a lot. So my vision is, when I came back, I was like, this is a wildlife conservation, that is a part of the cultural conservation. For my future generations, I would like to conserve this and keep it the way my fathers made me see it. I want my children to also get that experience. I'm 22-year-old, so I've started my part, whatever I can do, but slowly I will in the future try to conserve it.